Hello everyone. In this video we are going to discuss about 8 great ideas of computer architecture. They are design for Moore's law, use abstraction to simplify design, make the common case fast, performance via parallelism, performance via pipelining, performance via prediction, hierarchy of memories, dependability via redundancy. So we are going to see the topic one by one. Design for Moore's law. Uh, the Moore's law is postulated by one of the co-founder of Intel, Gordon E. Moore. So here we are going to see the technological advancement which happened in VLSI. So first technology evolved in VLSI is SSI, small scale integration. So in which um, 1 to 10 number of transistors are integrated in a single package. MSI, medium scale integration, hundreds of transistors integrated in a single package. LSI, large scale integration, thousands of transistors embedded in a single package. VLSI, very large scale integration, millions of transistors in a single package. ULSI, ultra large scale integration, millions transistor in a single package. Giga large scale integration. So all these technologies as progresses, we can able to see the reduction in area as well as increase in density of the transistor in a single package. For example, if you consider 1 GB pen drive, 2 GB pen drive, 4 GB, 8 GB, 16 GB, even 1 TB pen drive are all of same size. This is because of these technology advancement. So 1 GB as well as 1 TB is having the same size. So in 1 TB the density of the transistors are very huge. Actually, the Moore's law is postulated by Gordon E. Moore. According to Gordon E. Moore, the number of transistor in a package get doubled every 2 years. Actually, after a few years, while evolution of this LSI, VLSI, ULSI in this era, we can able to observe that the doubling which is happening every 18 months. The next topic is use abstraction to simplify design. For example, if we want to design a very big application, for example, this is the application which we want to do, and we have 6 sub blocks in this particular application. For example, if you want to design the entire thing from the scratch, so the design time, testing time, manufacturing time, so it is a huge time, right? So if you have any pre-designed subblocks, for example, these subblocks may be hardware or soft piece of software which is already designed for some other project, which is designed, pre-tested and functionally working well. And if we could able to reuse this type of subblocks in our particular design, so that the design as well as testing time for this particular block will be minimized, so that you can able to simplify the entire design. Make the common case fast. For example, if you consider any applications, you will be having common cases as well as rare cases. For example, if you consider any tools like Photoshop, Word, PowerPoint, you will be having a F1 key there, right, in your laptop. While pressing F1 key, you will get the help tools for that particular application. So as a beginner, you may be pressing F1 and invoking the F1 palette to view how that tool is going to perform. But as a frequent user, you will be knowing that particular tool, you will be having very knowledge on that particular tool. So at that time, this help palette will be a rare case for that particular application. So whenever you load that particular application to a physical memory, this rare case won't get loaded, it will be available in the main memory only. So by accessing only the common cases, you can able to make the application so fast. Performance via parallelism. For example, it is purely depending on hardware. Parallelism is purely depending on the hardware. For example, you have a block, a functional block, which is going to perform a single task in a single clock cycle. For example, so if I want to improve the performance of the system, I could able to replace this particular hardware with the two different hardwares in such a way that this particular hardware will work twice faster than the previous one. So within a single clock cycle, I can able to complete two different tasks as it is twice faster than the previous one. Consider this case. So I am going to replace these two hardware with four different hardware so that I can able to parallelly operate four different tasks in a single clock cycle. See this case, I am increasing the depth of parallelism. So I have six different blocks of same kind and doing the functionality, and I can able to do six different tasks on the same clock cycle. If you compare the fourth one as well as first one, here in a single clock cycle I can able to do only one task. Here in a single clock cycle I can able to do six the same task, six different tasks. So by extending the depth of parallelism, you can able to achieve performance improvement in that particular application. Performance via pipelining. So I will explain one case with pipeline as well as without pipeline. I will go with without pipeline. For example, um, I have to trace the input output from the input through two different paths here. So this is path 1, this is path 2. If you take a big complex project, you will be having different paths from input to the output. So at that time, for example, consider this particular in this particular path, this functional block is faster and this functional block is a slower one, for example. So this functional block will process all the input which is arriving here, mostly binary bits, right? So it will be processing all the inputs, and as it is a faster one, it will keep on sending the output as fast as it can. So it is a slower one, so it can able to process based on its speed. So as too many outputs are coming from this particular previous block, so it cannot cope up with the speed of the previous block, so it may lose some bits in processing. So this path will be a slower path at that time. So in fewer cases, this but functional block may be a slower one and this functional block may be a faster one. At that time, this functional block will be processing the input in a slower rate, and this functional block has to wait for the data from the previous block most of the time. So here my speed of the system get affected. So in order to overcome these type of issues, we are introducing pipelining. So here pipelining is introduced by adding memory elements in between each and every path. So it is a data structure. It is formed of queue or stack. So it can able to manage the data between two different functional blocks so that it can able to manage the speed between the blocks. For example, as we have already discussed, um, in the first case, it is a speed faster block and it is a slower block. So as far as it concerned, whenever a data comes, it will process and it will store it in the data structure. So whenever a task is completed here, so it can take the data from this functional block and sorry in this memory block, and it can able to process. So the no loss of data is happening here. In the second case, this is a slower functional block and it's a faster functional block. So whenever a data is arriving to this functional block, it will process and it can able to store here. So when all for all time, as it is a data structure, it can able to manage huge amount of data because depending on the capacity. So whenever it is free, it can able to get the data from the memory block, and it can able to process. No need to wait for the data from the previous block, because it is processing and it is saving the data in the data structure. So that speed management also possible in this case. Performance via prediction. For understanding only, I am given this image. I have given this image. Actually, in prediction, it is happening purely in the software side. For example, in your code, if you have any loops or branches available, at that time the processor will be predicting in the initial stage itself whether I am going to encounter with a loop or a branch. Why it is so is, whenever a while loop or for loop is getting detected, the processor has to make decision from which address to which address I have to make the looping or jump. So this decision time can be saved if you have a prior prediction mechanism. So in the normal prediction mechanism, processor merely predict whether I have a loop or not. Based on the prediction, it will start processing the instruction one by one. Unfortunately, if any branching occurs, so it has to erase the already updated registered data, and it has to start from the beginning. So it is a time consuming process. That's why dynamic prediction concept is coming. So at the runtime, it will be predicting based on the history of the instruction. The prediction will happen. This is the case, performance via prediction. Hierarchy of memories. This is a very important topic. So this is the hierarchy of memory available in your computer system, starting from register, cache memory, main memory, magnetic disk, optical disk, and magnetic tape. Actually, this register memory which is residing in your processor, it is a faster one. So the capacity of this register memory is limited. So it is a costlier one as well as it is a faster one. So from top to bottom, when we move, the speed of the memory will decrease, the size of the memory will increase, the cost of the memory will decrease. So the register is a costlier one, but the magnetic tape is a cheaper one. The register is a faster one, magnetic tape is a slower one. Register is small size, magnetic tape is larger size. So this is the levels of memory in a computer. So whenever a instruction is getting processed, initially the instruction will be fetched from the main memory and it will be copied to the register. Then only after that only the processor will process the data. The functionality of cache. For example, the processor is first time it is going to access a data. At that time, that particular data may not be available in the cache. So obviously, processor will look for the data from the main memory only. So from the main memory, it will be copied to the register. The same copy will be retained in the cache also. So whenever the CPU is asking for the same data again, so it won't look onto the main memory, so it will search in the cache memory initially. So if when it is available, so it can able to take that, it can able to access that data from the cache memory so faster than accessing from the main memory. For example, when you log in into when you browsing to Google for the first time on the day, so it will take time for the loading, right? So it will check in the local server, then it will be forwarding to the DNS server, then from the host server it will be taking the page and it will get loaded into your PC. The same copy will be saved in the cache memory also. For the second time when you type google.com, so it will be loaded from the cache memory, so the page will be displayed as fast as possible at that time. Likewise, here in your hardware, in your PC also, whenever you are accessing the data for the first time, it will be initially it will be checked parallelly, it will check for the data in cache as well as memory. As the distance between processor and cache is very small, the acknowledgement will reach from the cache as faster than the main memory. So when the data is not available here, then it will activate the path between processor and main memory. At the same time, the copy of that content will be loaded into the cache memory also. So whenever it is asking for the same data again, so easily the acknowledgement will come from the cache memory, so that data will be copied to the register. Dependability via redundancy. For simplicity of explanation, I am showing this particular picture. For example, in this truck, you can able to see an extra tire connected to the shaft. So it is a redundant tire. It is nowhere helping the uh, running of this particular truck, but as a redundant tire, when this particular got punctured, so a driver will be having a mechanism to pull down this tire to the ground, and they can able to pull up this tire, so it will be replacing this tire, right? So this mechanism is known as backing up in the motor vehicles. So if you see the SpaceX, like uh, spaceships, they will be having always a backup flight system, BFS. So it is a redundant system, but it will be keep on tracking the main system. So whenever a problem occurring in the main system, so the BFS will be get activated, and it will be taking care of the entire flighting system. Likewise, in software side also, in some programs and all, you will be having some redundant code, as well as in hardware also you will be having some backup hardwares. So the main system, if it fail to operate, the backup system will take care of the entire thing. This is all about 8 great ideas of computer architecture. Thank you.